Hey guys, my name is 18. Welcome to my shop. I asked the AI to design the logo for the channel. And then I decided I also want a sign in here that looks similar. So I made one. There it is. I'll put the original image somewhere on the screen so you can decide if they look the same. And if you stick with me, I'll show you exactly how I made this without using a CNC machine. It all starts with some scrap pallet wood that I'm checking for nails with my metal detector. That's what I'm doing here. I wouldn't want to run this pallet wood through my planer and ruin my blades. Once that's done, into the planer it goes. Get it a little bit clean and ready to use for my fancy shop sign. Before I glue them up, I straighten the edges a little bit using the track saw. Once I have them ready, a bit of wood glue, clamps, and I put together a base for my sign. I always like to clean a little bit, squeeze out glue when it's wet instead of letting it dry and have to scrap it later. I'm reinforcing this using some brad nails, mainly because I want to get it out of the clamps without waiting for the glue to dry up. You know what makes sanding a little bit less boring? Smoking a good pipe. Yeah, I know, I should use a mask. Don't do what I do. This is not a how to make video, this is me not caring about my health. Sanding done, I printed the original image on 4 pieces of paper, and this is just me gluing them together, ready to be transferred on the piece of wood. To do that, I need transfer paper. Wanna see how many times I open the same drawers to find it? Let's take a look. One hour later, there it is. After cutting the paper into a more manageable size, I then try to center it. I then secure it with tape, add some transfer paper underneath it, and then proceed with transferring the design on the piece of wood. Using my plunge router, I'm cutting out the outer shape first. Using a small upper cutting spiral bit, I take it slowly, making sure I don't go over the lines. And then, once I have that on the outside and the inside circle, I just proceed to clean up all the wood left in the middle with a larger router bit. I'm now cleaning up the entire area that I carved, ready for the first epoxy pour. Pallet wood obviously has some holes, so just try not to waste the epoxy here, and I'm filling up all the holes where I'm expecting the first epoxy to go in. I really don't want to have to use a router sled to get this surfaced again after pouring epoxy, so what I'm trying to do here is to get the sign as level as possible, so my epoxy pour is as close as possible but slightly higher than the wood, so I can get away with just sanding it once it's cured. Got the scale out, and now it's time to take the measurements and just prepare a little bit of epoxy. This first pour will set up the outer shape, which is similar to a table saw blade. So I'm mixing a little bit of black epoxy to set this up. I don't need much, so this small cup will be more than enough. I'm trying to take it slowly and just pour it into the prepared area without spilling too much epoxy all over the place. I don't want to have to sand it. Once this first pour is cured, about a day later, I can start to carve out the entire inside circle where we're gonna make the color pour of resin. Clean all this up and then we are ready for the... So I'm not trying to match exactly the position of the colors from the original image, but I am trying to at least replicate the 4 colors theme that we have in that image, and obviously create a little bit of a... After doing a little bit of mixing, this is what we are left with. Time for sanding, and because I was careful and the epoxy pour was pretty much level with wood, I was able, as mentioned before, to avoid having to surface plane. Raising the hair with a little bit of water before final sanding is also a great time to see how the final product is gonna look like. I then finish sanding at 240 grit with a light pass before applying the finish. I'm gonna use some Rubio Monocoat here to finish this piece. I know it's kinda expensive stuff for a shop sign, but that's what I had in my shop at that time, so yeah, putting a light coat of Rubio. The letters for the word workshop in the original design were ridiculous in shape, so I found it a font that was somewhat similar, and I used that to print the letters. And you see me here just putting them over some scrap MDF. This is what I'm gonna use to do the 3D raised letters. I'm using the bandsaw to roughly cut the letters out. You could obviously use a jigsaw if you don't have a bandsaw. I have one, and obviously this makes the entire process a lot easier. MDF contains nasty chemicals, guys, so as you can see, even someone as careless as I am, I'm using a respirator when I'm cutting MDF. I don't want to inhale any of that stuff. For the awkward small spaces, I'm going to use the router to carve them out. Final touches, using an assortment of files to properly shape them in and out. Once they are ready, just mixing up another little bit of epoxy, some with black color, some with white color, ready to be poured on top of the letters to give them the final color and shape. I'm trying out here the right alignment and trying to make sure that they look good, and then I make some signs to make sure that I can keep the same position. And then I'm using some CA glue and activator to just glue them down in position. I was a little bit concerned, to be honest with you, how well they're gonna stick now that the final piece is finished with Rubio. But the sign has been there in my shop for more than half a year now, and I had no problems, and I definitely didn't want to try to stick the letters down and then go with the finish through all those details. And here is the final result. To be honest with you, I'm quite pleased of how it turned out. It's not exactly like the AI generated image, but will do. That's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like the video, please consider giving us a like and maybe subscribe to the channel. Cheers!